Liara moved carefully across the cracked ground of Virelia. Her small, delicate hands clutched the ragged cloth that covered her 3 daughters, shielding them from the cold wind that swept across the barren plains. She could see the hunger in their eyes, the quiet pleading that no child should ever give, and yet she had no choice. The crops had failed, the livestock was gone, and every day brought them closer to the edge of survival. Her species, the Virelians, were known across the galaxy for their unique biology. Their hearts were not just organs. They contained life energy, a precious essence that could sustain others when transferred. It was a secret kept within their kind, but the galaxy knew humans were willing to pay high prices for alien biotics. Liara had always resisted the thought of selling herself, but when she saw her daughter shivering in the dirt, weak from starvation, a single choice stood clear in her mind. I will do it, she whispered, her voice shaking. The decision felt like ripping herself apart from the inside. She knelt beside her daughters, brushing their hair back gently. Stay strong, little ones. Mama will come back. The journey to the human settlement was long. The trader's post, hidden deep in a canyon, was dangerous, controlled by merciless human and alien intermediaries. Liara carried herself with quiet dignity, though every step burned through her weakened body. Her daughters followed, too small to understand fully, yet their innocence weighed heavily on her. She felt every ache, every shiver, as if the pain was magnified by the knowledge that she was about to sell her very heart. When she arrived, the human buyer, a tall man named Captain Ethan, greeted her. His eyes were sharp, trained to detect weakness, yet there was something different about the way he looked at her. He did not see her just as a commodity, as most traders did. He saw a mother, fragile yet fierce, standing in front of him with a courage that even he could not ignore. Liara did not speak. Words had little meaning now. She presented her heart willingly, a small glowing organ suspended in a container of luminescent liquid. The air around it hummed with energy, and she could feel her body growing colder, dimmer, as if each heartbeat she had left behind faded from existence. Ethan watched in silence, expecting fear, expecting anger, expecting bargaining. Instead, he saw love, the raw, endless devotion of a mother willing to give everything for her children. Something stirred in him, a strange pull that had nothing to do with trade. He wanted to reach out to stop this act, yet the rules of commerce and the fear of alien retaliation bound him. When the procedure was done, Liara collapsed onto the table. Her body was pale, her breathing shallow. The energy that once made her strong and radiant was now a faint glow inside the container Ethan held. Her daughters' faces were pressed against the glass barrier that separated them from her. Tears streaked down their small cheeks, but they remained silent. There was no anger in their eyes, only longing, hope, and trust in the one who had given everything. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility pressing against him. He had made many trades, seen many lives exchanged for profit, yet none of them had touched him like this. There was something about Liara's courage, about the depth of her sacrifice that made the usual rules of business feel empty. He thought of her daughters, fragile, helpless, depending on this trade for survival. For the first time, he wondered if the currency of the galaxy, money, energy, power, was worth more than compassion. Back in their temporary quarters, Liara's daughters huddled together. Each one whispered her mother's name, praying for her survival. Even in their young hearts, they understood the cost of what their mother had done. They did not cry loudly. They did not scream. They stayed silent, hoping that somehow the mother they loved would come back to them. Hours passed. Ethan checked the container repeatedly. The heart glowed steadily, but he could see the toll on Liara's body. He knew that if the energy was returned too late, she would not survive. Human medical technology could sustain her life temporarily, but it could not replace the bond of her own energy, and yet something inside him refused to let her die. That night, while the settlement slept under the dim artificial lights, Ethan made a decision. He would return the heart. The galaxy had rules, yes, but it also had courage, ingenuity, and the rare willingness to do what was right, even when it seemed impossible. He studied the heart's container, reading every measurement, every note left by traders who had dealt with alien biology before. None of them had tried to return it. All had said it could not be done. Ethan ignored their warnings. He set to work in the small lab he had prepared. Tools and instruments surrounded him, and the faint hum of the machinery filled the silence. Every adjustment was precise, every movement careful. He could feel the tension rising inside him. If he failed, Liara would die. If he succeeded, he would challenge the very rules of what humans and aliens believed possible. As the hours passed, Liara's body remained in the containment room. Weak, pale, and quiet, she drifted between consciousness and unconsciousness. Her mind, though, never left her daughters. She imagined them growing, laughing, eating warm meals, surviving the famine that had nearly destroyed them. Every breath she took was for them, even if she felt herself slipping further into weakness. Ethan's work was meticulous. He recalibrated the energy flow, adjusted the stabilizers, and monitored the heart's luminescence. He spoke softly to himself, more to calm his own fear than for any reason of necessity. "Come on, you can do this. It's worth it. She deserves this." Each adjustment was a gamble. Each beep of the machine could mean success or failure. Finally, near dawn, the energy reading stabilized. Ethan took a deep breath and approached the containment chamber. The heart glowed steadily, no longer flickering. With careful hands, he began the delicate process of reinserting it into Liara's body. The moment it touched her, a shiver ran through her. Light returned to her skin and her breathing grew stronger. She opened her eyes slowly, meeting Ethan's gaze. The first thing she saw was not him. It was the glow of her own energy returning, the life she had thought lost. The second thing she saw were her daughters, still huddled in their corner, watching with wide, innocent eyes. Relief washed over her like a flood, and for a moment she could not speak. She only reached out with trembling hands, touching their faces, confirming that they were safe. Ethan watched silently. He had acted not for fame, not for profit, but because he believed in something greater, something human that could cross species, cultures, and rules. Compassion. Liara's gaze met his, and she understood without words. He had done what no one else would, what the galaxy said was impossible. The children rushed to their mother, and she embraced them with a strength that belied her weakened state. Tears fell freely, not of sorrow, but of relief, joy, and the raw understanding of how fragile life could be, and how powerful love was. Ethan stepped back, letting them have their moment, feeling a quiet satisfaction in what he had done. Even as Liara recovered, she knew the road ahead would not be easy. The famine still raged across Viralia, and danger still lurked in the shadows. But for the first time she saw a glimmer of hope. Humans could be more than traders and explorers. They could be protectors, allies, and heroes. And for her daughters, she could live another day to guide them, teach them, and love them fully. As the sun rose over the barren plains, casting its soft light on the small family, Liara whispered a promise to herself. She would not forget this act, and she would teach her daughters that courage, compassion, and humanity could exist in every corner of the galaxy. And somewhere in her heart, she knew that Captain Ethan had shown her something that no one else could, that even when darkness threatened to consume all, a single human could shine brighter than the stars themselves. The sun rose slowly over Viralia, painting the barren plains in soft shades of orange and pink. Liara held her daughters close, feeling the warmth of their small bodies against hers. The energy from her heart had returned, but she was still weak. Every movement reminded her that she had given part of herself for their survival. Yet she refused to lie down and surrender. Her daughters needed her fully, and she would rise for them. Captain Ethan watched from the doorway. He had spent the night monitoring her recovery, quietly making sure that no complication arose. Though he had acted against every warning and law of his trade, he felt a deep satisfaction that no human credit could measure. Liara's resilience had inspired him, reminded him that humanity was more than strength. It was courage, compassion, and the willingness to do what others would not. Liara smiled weakly at him. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice hoarse. It was a simple phrase, but it carried a weight that transcended words. Ethan nodded, unsure how to reply. There was no need for elaborate speeches here. Their actions had spoken more than any words could. The small family left the settlement shortly afterward, moving carefully across the plains. Liara's daughters clung to her hands, each step a reminder that survival was still uncertain. They needed food, shelter, and safety. Ethan accompanied them, offering protection as they navigated through the harsh landscape. Along the way, he marveled at their world. Viralia was unforgiving, with jagged rock formations, sudden sandstorms, and pockets of wild creatures that could kill in an instant. Yet the planet had its quiet beauty too, glimmering mineral veins, bioluminescent plants, and skies painted with colors humans had never seen. Despite the dangers, Liara's spirit grew stronger with each passing hour. Her heart was whole again, but it was more than that. She felt the power of human ingenuity and kindness, something she had never imagined could exist in a galaxy driven by trade, profit, and survival. Her daughters began to regain their strength too, finding small joy in each new day. They laughed quietly as they explored the edges of streams, discovered edible plants, and chased tiny creatures across the plains. For the first time in months, hope filled their hearts, but hope was fragile. Liara knew that the famine still threatened her people, and that danger lurked beyond every horizon. Traders might return, creatures might attack, and the harsh environment could easily undo all they had gained. She could not let her guard down, yet she found a strange peace in Ethan's presence. He was not just a human buyer. He was a protector, a rare kind of hero who had risked everything to give life back to someone he barely knew. As night fell, the temperature dropped sharply. Liara gathered her daughters in a small cave she had discovered earlier, covering them with rough blankets. Ethan set up a small energy generator, one of the human devices he had brought to monitor vital signs, providing warmth and light. They shared a simple meal: dried protein, purified water, and a few foraged plants. It was meager, but it was enough for the moment, and it reminded Liara that survival was possible. Do you think humans always help like this?" one of her daughters asked softly, her wide eyes reflecting the light of the generator. Liara smiled, brushing the girl's hair back. "I think some do. There are humans who will risk themselves for others, even when it is dangerous, even when it is hard." She looked at Ethan, who was quietly tending to their small fire. "And some are brave enough to change what seems impossible." Ethan looked up, catching her gaze. He felt a strange warmth in his chest. Not the energy he had transferred, but a deeper sense of connection. Across species, across worlds, he had formed a bond that few could understand. He nodded silently, acknowledging the unspoken trust between them. The days that followed were difficult. Liara and her daughters moved cautiously, avoiding predator creatures and treacherous terrain. Ethan taught them small ways to use human tools and survival techniques. They constructed basic shelters, found safe water sources, and even rigged traps for small game. Liara's daughters began to regain strength quickly, their laughter and curiosity returning, a testament to the resilience of life when hope is restored. One day, as they navigated a narrow canyon, they encountered a group of hostile scavengers. These creatures had been preying on travelers for weeks, and their intent was clear. They wanted the human and the Varelian family for their own gain. Ethan stepped forward without hesitation, placing himself between Liara and the scavengers. Though outnumbered, he did not hesitate, using his human technology, quick thinking, and sheer courage to create a diversion. Explosions of light and sound startled the scavengers, giving Liara and her daughters time to escape. Liara could not stop staring at him. Humans were fragile, easily broken, yet Ethan moved with precision, bravery, and a fierce determination that saved her family. Her heart swelled with gratitude and awe. She realized that humanity was capable of heroism on a scale she had never imagined, and that courage often came in quiet, unassuming forms. After the danger passed, they continued their journey to a small oasis rumored to have fertile land. The landscape began to change, with patches of green slowly appearing between the rocks. Liara's daughters ran ahead, laughing, their bodies stronger, their spirits higher. Liara followed more slowly, yet her own strength was returning, fueled not just by the restoration of her heart, but by the love surrounding her and the courage she witnessed in the human beside her. At the oasis, they found other Varelians, survivors like them, trying to rebuild their lives. Liara approached cautiously, unsure if these others would accept outsiders, especially humans. But Ethan's presence, his courage, and the story of what he had done preceded him in subtle ways. The Varelians welcomed them cautiously at first, but with growing trust as they saw the humanity in his actions. Liara's daughters were quickly embraced by the new community. They shared stories, laughter, and small moments of learning that allowed them to grow stronger and wiser. Liara herself felt a new sense of purpose, not just survival, but leadership. She began to teach others what she had learned, using both Varelian wisdom and human strategies to help the community thrive. Ethan stayed with them, not as a trader or observer, but as a protector, teacher, and friend. He helped with constructing shelters, securing resources, and teaching defensive strategies. His actions inspired not just Liara's family, but the entire Oasis community. Humans, with all their fragility and curiosity, had shown a strength that even the harshest worlds could not ignore. Over time, Liara's health fully returned. She had endured one of the greatest sacrifices imaginable and survived, her daughters thriving by her side. She often watched Ethan quietly, marveling at the strange courage humans possessed. They had no innate magical energy like the Varelians. They had no glowing hearts, yet their bravery, compassion, and ingenuity made them forces to be reckoned with. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Liara and Ethan sat together on a hill overlooking the oasis. Her daughters played below, their laughter carried on the wind. Liara spoke softly, almost to herself. "You gave me my life back. Not for reward, not for trade, but because it was right. I do not know if I can ever repay you." Ethan shook his head. "You don't need to. You and your daughters are alive. That's enough. Humanity is not perfect, but sometimes we do what matters most. Today we made a difference. Tomorrow it will be yours to continue." Liara felt a deep respect for this human, for the courage he had shown, and for the bond that had grown between them. In a galaxy filled with danger, cruelty, and despair, they had discovered something rare: hope, trust, and the knowledge that life could be saved when courage and compassion worked together. As night settled over Varelia, stars filling the sky, Liara's daughters climbed onto her lap, tired but happy. Ethan watched from nearby, quietly smiling, knowing that he had played a small part in something far greater than trade or profit. The mother who had sold her heart now held it whole again, not because the universe demanded it, but because a human had dared to defy it. The oasis thrived, slowly but surely, becoming a place where Varelians and humans could work together. Liara and her daughters grew stronger with each passing day, their bond unbreakable, their courage renewed. And somewhere in the quiet moments, she would look at Ethan and remember that in the darkest times, humanity had shown its brightest light. In the end, the galaxy remained harsh, unforgiving, and full of challenges, but Liara understood something crucial. Courage could cross species. Compassion could change destinies. And even in worlds where survival seemed impossible, hope, guided by the actions of a single human, could restore life, love, and family. The story closed not with an ending, but with a promise that no matter how dark the universe became, heroes existed. And sometimes those heroes came from places you would never expect.